It was almost midnight, and the rain hadn't let up for hours. The gas station was nearly deserted, except for the faint humming of the fluorescent lights and the sound of a single pair of soaked shoes squeaking on the tile floor. That was when she walked in, a woman with tired eyes, drenched hair, and a little girl clinging tightly to her side, shivering in a threadbare hoodie. The woman placed a handful of coins on the counter with shaking hands, trying to smile through the shame in her eyes. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't even close. She needed just a little fuel to get home. She whispered that her daughter hadn't eaten since morning. The cashier on duty, her name was Daniella, looked at the coins, then at the child's cold, hungry face, and without a word, reached into her own pocket. She paid for the gas. She bought the child a sandwich and a warm chocolate milk. What Daniella didn't know then, was that someone very powerful had seen it all. Sparkles, before we dive into this emotional and heartwarming story, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel Rapple of Hope. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion, your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to life. Sparkles. Daniella Jones was used to long nights and aching feet. She worked the graveyard shift at a rundown gas station just outside Atlanta, Georgia. The pay was barely enough to keep her studio apartment and care for her aging grandmother, who had raised her since she was 7. Life hadn't handed her many favors. Her mother had vanished when she was just a child, and her father was a man she only knew through painful stories her grandmother tried not to tell. Daniella had dreams once, big ones. She wanted to become a nurse, to heal people, to change lives. But dreams are fragile things when you're busy surviving. School was too expensive, and after her grandmother's 3rd stroke, Daniella dropped everything to care for her full-time while picking up double shifts to pay for medication. She smiled for the customers. She listened patiently to their stories. But no one really saw her. The night the struggling mother walked in changed something deep within her. Daniella had seen desperation before, but this was different. The woman had that kind of sadness that burrows deep under the skin, the look of someone who was trying not to collapse under the weight of everything. And the child, she reminded Daniella of herself. Small. Quiet. Observing everything. The little girl's lips trembled, not from the cold, but from hunger. When Daniella paid for their gas and bought them food, it wasn't charity. It was survival recognizing survival. She didn't expect thanks, and she certainly didn't expect anything in return. She simply nodded when the mother's eyes filled with tears. Then they were gone, swallowed by the night and the storm. The next morning, Daniella came home soaked and exhausted. She changed her grandmother's bedsheets, prepared her medication, and sat by her side as she slept. Her body was running on fumes, but her heart felt strangely full. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel invisible. The next day was quiet at the station. Business as usual, coffee refills, cigarette sales, and the occasional rude customer barking about gas prices. Daniella moved through her shift with practiced rhythm, the memory of the mother and daughter already slipping into the back of her mind. That is, until 11:47 a.m., when a black Bentley with chrome rims and tinted windows slowly pulled into the lot. It was completely out of place among the beat-up pickup trucks and rusted sedans. The engine purred like a lion. The door opened, and out stepped a man in an immaculate suit. Tall. Composed. Wealth rolled off him in waves, but his expression was unreadable. Daniella stiffened as he walked directly toward the register. She thought maybe he was lost. Maybe he needed directions or had taken a wrong turn. But when he stopped in front of her and placed a small envelope on the counter, her heart started racing. He didn't say a word at first. He just looked at her with the intensity of someone searching for something. And then, finally, he spoke. "My daughter told me what you did." That's when Daniella noticed the little girl again, now clean, warm, and smiling, from the back seat of the Bentley. The man continued, his voice softer now. You helped them when you didn't have to. I've been looking for you since yesterday. Daniella blinked, unsure how to respond. She stammered something about how it was nothing, how anyone would have done the same. But he shook his head. No. Not everyone would. He pushed the envelope closer to her. When she opened it later, after her shift ended, her hands trembled. Inside was a check for $50,000. A handwritten note said, "No one has ever shown my daughter kindness like that before. Use this however you see fit. You've changed our lives. Let me change yours." Daniella cried in the back room that afternoon, hard. Not because of the money, though that alone would finally allow her to send her grandmother to a better facility, pay off debts, maybe even enroll in nursing school again. But because, for the first time in her life, someone had seen her. Not just as a worker. Not just as a girl behind the counter. But as a human being with value. Word spread quickly. Her story made the local news, and people from the community she thought had forgotten her started dropping by the gas station, not to get gas, but to thank her. To hug her. To share their own stories of kindness they'd received or given. One man said he hadn't spoken to his estranged son in years, but her story made him pick up the phone. A single mother said she donated groceries to a shelter in Daniella's name. The ripple effect was real. Within a month, Daniella had quit her job at the gas station. Not because she was running away from it, but because she was finally running toward something. She enrolled in nursing school part-time, hired a home nurse to care for her grandmother, and even started a small community pantry out of her apartment complex to help families in need. Every weekend, she'd serve hot meals and offer free toiletries to anyone who stopped by. She didn't do it for praise. She did it because she knew what it meant to be hungry, to be cold, to be invisible. And the man in the Bentley? His name was Marcus Lane, a tech entrepreneur and widowed father. After that day, he became a regular part of Daniella's life, not because of his wealth, but because of his heart. He volunteered at her pantry, sometimes anonymously, always humbly. He told Daniella that his late wife was a social worker, and what she did reminded him so much of the woman he lost. In Daniella, he found a mirror of the compassion he feared the world had forgotten. Over time, friendship turned into something more. Slowly. Gently. With laughter, shared stories, and quiet evenings spent caring for those who needed them most. Daniella learned to receive love without questioning it, and Marcus learned to believe in miracles again. The night they opened their first joint shelter for single mothers and struggling families, Daniella stood before a crowd of people who had once walked the same hard road she did. She looked out, eyes glistening, and said, "Sometimes all it takes is one act of kindness to change the direction of someone's life. Someone did that for me. And now, I want to do that for all of you." Glowing star, if this story touched your heart even a little, please don't scroll away. Like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and leave a comment below. Your voice might be the light someone else is waiting for. Subscribe to Rapple of Hope so we can keep telling the stories that remind us humanity is still beautiful. Glowing star. Envelope with arrow special request: before you go, please leave a comment below. Tell us, has someone ever shown you kindness when you needed it most? Or have you been someone's miracle? Let's fill this space with real stories of hope.